Knife! Yes, sir! Hammer! Yes, sir! Pliers! Yes, sir!
Sir, Sergeant Keeper reporting for duty, sir. The Inspector General.
Inspector Makwala, I presume.
Yes, Inspector General Karia, if I'm not mistaken. Ah, good. It is good to have your support this early morning, sir. It's not particularly lively business torturing and executing this poor fellow.
No, it is not, sir. It is making too much of the fellow to execute him. What more could you have done if he had been a member of the Church of Kenya, or the Muslim Association for that matter? Martyrdom. Sir, it is what these people like. It is the only way in which a man can become famous without ability. However, you have committed us to torturing and executing this poor fellow, and the sooner we are done, the better for all of us.
Yes, we have scheduled the torture to last for 2 hours and finally execute him at 2 a.m. sharp. Nothing remains except to...
Nothing! Except to save our own necks, perhaps. Have you heard the news from Juja or Kitengela?
Nothing special, sir. The latest reports were satisfactory.
Satisfactory? Sir, satisfactory. I am glad you take that view of them.
Well, do I understand?
I do not express my opinion, sir. I never stoop to that habit of profane language, which unfortunately coarses our profession. If I did, sir, perhaps I should be able to express my opinion of the news from Juja and Kitengela, the news which you have apparently not heard. Now, how soon do you get news from your supports here? In a day? A week? Perhaps in the course of a month? Huh?
I suppose they were sent to you instead of me, sir. Is there anything serious?
Juja and Kitengela are in the hands of the activists.
Since when?
Since 2 a.m. yesterday morning. And perhaps we shall be in their hands before 2 a.m. tomorrow. Now, have you thought about that?
Well, as to that, Inspector General, the Kenyan police will give a good account of it, sir.
And therefore I suppose, sir, that the Kenya police need not know his business, huh? The GSU will get him out of all his blunders with the tear gas and the rungu and the fist. In future, sir, I must ask you to be a little less generous with the blood of your own men and be a little more generous with your own brains.
Well, I am sorry, sir, I cannot pretend to your intellectual eminence. I can only do my best and rely on the devotion of my countrymen.
May I ask you, Inspector Makwala, are you writing a melodrama?
No, sir.
What a pity. What a pity. Do you at all realize, sir, that we have nothing standing between us and destruction, but our own blood and the sheepishness of this activist, the malfunctioning systems of the Kenya Police Service, and the ever-rising movement of this activist? Now, they are men of the same Kenyan stock as ourselves. 6 to 1 of us, sir. 6 to 1. And nearly half our troops are Mungiki clansmen with scalping machetes. These are the activists on whose devotion you rely. Suppose this news from Juja and Kitengela should turn out to mean that they have found a leader. Suppose that they find a voice to empower them in an uprising against the Kenya police. What shall we do then?
Our duty, sir.
Quite so. Quite so. Thank you, Inspector Makwala. Thank you. Now you've settled the question, sir. You've thrown a flood of light on the situation. Huh? What a comfort to me to feel that I have at my side so devoted and able a police officer to support me in this emergency. Inspector Makwala. You know what I think? I think it will relieve both of our feelings if we proceed to torture and execute this dissenter without further delay, especially as I am debarred by my principles from the Kenya Police Service and the fact that I am non-civilian ever since I joined the force. Sergeant!
Yes, sir.
Bring your your man in.
Yes, sir.
Mention to any lazy or loitering officer that this probing inspector, probing cannot wait any longer for him.
Yes, sir.
We have been waiting at your convenience for 30 minutes now, sir. The stuff is perfectly ready.
So am I, Inspector. So am I. Gentlemen, good morning. Very good of you to spare us a few moments, sir. But I'm sorry to disturb you. I am very well then. Welcome, Bona. Welcome.
Will you preside over the probing, sir?
No. I feel my own deficiencies too keenly to presume so far. If you will kindly allow me, sir, I will stand and watch.
As you please, sir. I'm only trying to do my duty under excessively trying circumstances.
Who is this woman?
The prisoner's wife, sir.
She begged me to stay and I thought
You thought it would be a pleasure for her. Quite so, Inspector. Well, give the lady a chair and make her feel thoroughly comfortable, huh?
Your name, sir!
Okay. You mean to tell me that you brought me here without knowing who I am?
As a matter of form, sir.
Okay.
Give me your name!
Okay, please. As a matter of form then, my name is Anthony Kasai, the Reverend of this town.
Indeed. Now pray, Mr. Kasai, what do you gentlemen believe?
I should be happy to tell you, if time allowed me. But I am afraid I cannot undertake your conversion in under a fortnight.
We are not here to discuss
I stand rebuked, Inspector. Don't mention it. Any political views, Mr. Kasai?
I understand that is what we are here to find out.
Do you mean to deny that you're an activist?
I am a Kenyan that has been simply been stripped of his right to freedom. His right.
And what am I to think of that? Speak, sir!
I do not expect a policeman to think. You cannot help yourselves. You cannot help yourselves. When you decide to kill a man, you put yourself at a disadvantage with him.
And you have no right to assume we did not arrest you without good cause.
Are you talking to the inspector or me?
I thought that I had the privilege of addressing the gentleman, Johnny.
I believe I am the gentleman, Johnny. Sir, at your service. Now you will understand, of course. I hope, since you seem to be a gentleman and a man of some spirit in spite of your calling, that if we should have the misfortune to torture and execute you, we shall do so as a mere matter of political necessity and police duty without any personal ill feeling, huh?
Oh,
Of course.
no.
Of course.
You.
No, Johnny,
You.
you shall not. You shall not. Please.
Madam, your husband is placing us under the greatest obligation whatsoever by taking this very disagreeable business so thoroughly in the spirit of a gentleman. Now, Inspector Makwala, we are waiting for you.
I am well aware you're sure, Mr. Kasai, of your duties as the reverend of this community.
I am aware that this government shall torture me to death simply because I am opposed to His Excellency's policies and opinions. And no,
That is very treasonable. Speak, sir.
Mr. Kasai, don't you think that that is a vulgar line to take, if you will excuse the word? Why should you cry out robbery because of a stamp duty and the beautification of our county, Nairobi, and the crackdown on illicit brews, huh? After all, it is the essence of your position as a gentleman that you pay with a good grace.
Of course. It is not the money. It is not the money. But to be swindled by big-headed ministers of
That is enough. That is another point of view, and my position does not allow of my going into that, except in private, really. But Mr. Kasai, if you were Mr. Kasai,
Mr. Kasai. Mr. Kasai.
Mr. Kasai, if you are determined to be tortured and executed, there is nothing more to be said. An unusual taste, however.
Shall we call a witness, sir?
There's no need for witnesses. I mean, if this city had listened to me one more time, you would have found the streets barricaded and the homes broken into. I mean, you would have found every person behind me to hold this town against you to the last man. It is only fortunate that you came when we were in our talking phases.
Well, Mr. Kasai, we shall teach you and the people of Nairobi a lesson they will never have anything more to say.
I think you should treat me like a prisoner of war instead of killing me here like a dog.
Mr. Kasai,
Like a dog.
you talk like a civilian. Have you any idea of the average marksmanship of the army of His Excellency? If we were to make you up a firing party, what would happen? Half these men would miss you, and the rest would make a bloody mess of the whole scheme and leave you to the provost marshal's pistol. Whereas we can torture you and execute you in a perfectly workmanlike and agreeable way.
Oh,
Kindly, let me persuade you to be tortured and executed.
Judith.
No!
Judith.
No!
Keep silent.
No!
Keep silent.
No!
Well, thank you, Inspector General.
No!
That view of the case had not occurred to me. I withdraw all my objection to the torture. Please, torture me by all means.
Will 2 a.m. suit you, sir?
I am at your disposal.
Nothing more to be said then, gentlemen.
No! How can you murder a man without proper trial?
Judith!
Without even thinking of what you're doing? Without even knowing what you're doing?
Judith, is this how you keep your promises?
If I am not to speak, then tell them the truth!
The truth!
Yes!
The truth!
Yes!
I have told them the truth to torture me 10 times over. Now, if you say one more word, you shall put other lives in danger. And you shall not save mine.
My good lady, our only desire is to save unpleasantness. What satisfaction would it give to you to have a solemn first mate with Inspector Makwala in a black cap and so forth? I am sure we are greatly indebted to the admirable tact and gentlemanly feeling shown by your husband.
Oh, you are mad! You are mad! Is it nothing to you what wicked thing you do, provided you do it in the uniform? Is it nothing what wicked thing you do, provided you murder in the uniform? You shall not execute this man. This man is not my...
Hey! Gentlemen, please. I appeal to you. Just put an end to this. She won't believe that she cannot save me. Please. Just end it.
Mr. Kasai, one moment. Let me understand you clearly, madam. Do you mean to say that this man is not your husband? Or merely, and I wish to put this with all delicacy, all right? That you are not his wife?
I don't know what you mean. But what I know is that this man is not my husband. My husband ran away. You can go to the town and ask anyone and they'll tell you that this man is not Anthony Kasai.
Sergeant, yes. Go out into the street at this dreadful hour and bring the first townsman you see, huh? Yes, sir. The first clean and sober townsman, eh? Madam, sit down while we wait. Mr. Kasai, you are to calm down while we wait, all right?
Shame.
Now,
Shame.
if you are not her husband, the case is not a serious one, at least for her, huh?
I'm sorry, I couldn't help you.
And you are not to build on this little incident. We are bound to make an example of somebody.
Of course. Then there is no need for me to explain.
And we should prefer independent testimony, sir, if you don't mind, huh?
I didn't steal. It wasn't me.
Dispatches, sir, delivered by the 53rd Corporal. Dead beat from driving all night.
Sorry, no, it wasn't me. Don't be afraid. They only want you as a witness here. They shall not torture you.
What is your name?
Christopher Magiwa, you blatant idiot. Who is...
Be silent, prisoner, and don't prompt the witness.
Okay. But be sure, be warned. You shall not get anything out of him. He is well bred and he has no sense or manhood in him. He has no manhood in him.
Sergeant,
Yes, sir.
where is the man who brought this?
In the guard room, sir.
Do you know Anthony Kasai?
Of course I do. You don't?
Is he here?
I don't know.
Do you see him?
No.
You seem to know the prisoner.
Oh, you mean Robert? Hi, Robert. Hi.
Which is Robert?
Him. Hi.
What is his name?
Robert Magia is my brother. Bros. Robert.
Wait, so you mean to say that he is not Kasai and he is Robert?
Who?
Me, you blatant. They want to know if I'm the reverend of this town. Please, tell them the truth.
You think it's... That's what this is about. Okay. The thing is, the Reverend is a good guy, and his name is Anthony Kasai, and that is not the Reverend. That is a bad character. Respectable people like you and I. We don't talk to people like that. Yes. By the way, I'm the good brother. He's the bad one.
Who arrested this man?
I did, sir. I found him at tea in the minister's house. And if she's not married to her, he should be.
Did he answer to the name Anthony Kasai?
Yes, sir, but not in a minister's nature.
So, sir, you have attempted to lie to us. And your real name is Robert Magiwa.
Yes, please. Okay.
Don't worry. Magiwa is a name well known to us, huh?
Yes. Peter Magiwa was my uncle. Yes. So you killed him a few days ago.
Robert, are they going to execute you?
Of course. Now get away from here.
Okay.
They're done with you.
Okay, but wait, Robert, if you die, can I still have the expensive painting?
Get away from here, you blabbering baboon.
Since you have decided to take the minister's name, then the execution shall go on as planned at 2 a.m.
Yes.
And until that man shows his face to us,
Yes.
you shall take his place in this execution chamber.
Okay.
Executioner, get ready.
God.
And where is that Inspector General?
You called for me, Inspector. Well, Mr. Kasai, who is Edward Nkaiseri?
He's an MP in Kenya.
And is Edward Nkaiseri and so on a man of his word?
Well, is he selling you anything?
No, Mr. Kasai.
Then you can depend on him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kasai, and we shall proceed with the execution of Mr. Kasai. Madam, since he was not your husband and you take the name Mrs. Kasai, what is going on here?
His name is Robert Magiwa, sir. He was trying to lie to us.
And you tell me this now. Anyway, Executioner, one moment. You know what this is? What? A demand for ceasefire agreement for the leader of the activists to come here and arrange terms with us.
Oh, so they are finally giving in.
They add that they are sending the man who raised Juja last night so that we may know we are dealing with an order of importance. He will be fully empowered to arrange the terms of the yes,
Their surrender.
our evacuation, and they give us just 6 hours to clear out.
What monstrous impudence these people have. What shall we do? We shall march on Juja and strike a decisive blow.
Suppose I resign my command to you, Inspector. What shall you do?
Then I shall undertake to do what you must not from Mombasa to do. And what Inspector Karuku is watching south from Wajir to do. We shall effect a junction in Nairobi and crush these activists with our united forces.
And what about our enemies at the Vigilance House?
Vigilance House? What enemy?
Somebody and nobody, sir! Incompetence, impunity, and bloodshed. Need I mention to you the disregard that the police have towards the common mansion? Our only hope, Inspector Karuku, I have learned, sir, is on his way to Masai Mara on holiday with his daughter and niece doing what they do best.
Good God! He disobeyed orders!
He received no orders, sir. Some gentleman at the Vigilance House forgot to dispatch them, and I believe he was also on his holiday. Therefore, to avoid upsetting all the arrangements, Nairobi will be plagued by activists for another few months. And after wasting millions of taxpayers' shillings, Nairobi will be mined left, right, and center with 5,000 policemen to face 16,000 activists in an impregnable position.
Impossible!
I beg your pardon, sir.
What will history say?
History will tell us lies as usual. Please! Now come, let me draft that ceasefire agreement.
Sergeant!
Yes,
Bring that bastard!
yes, sir.
Basta.
Let me pray for you, sir.
Young man, please. This is not a place for a man of your profession. Hadn't you better go away?
I suggest you be silent and listen to the ministrations of our pastor. Continue.
Try to control yourself, sir, and keep calm. Submit your soul to the divine will.
Divine will. Divine will.
Yes.
Please answer for your will and that of your accomplices here. I see little divinity in you. All them. I mean, you talk about Christianity. And you're here torturing your enemies. I mean, what blasphemous nonsense was there like that one?
Pastor, it appears our prisoner never runs out of words. Please, do something for me.
I will try, but it's really difficult. Sir, as man comes from the soil, so shall he return to the soil. And whatever is crooked cannot be corrected.
Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill. Haven't you found that verse in the Bible?
I think, Mr. Francis, that as the usual professional observations seem to strike Mr. Magiwa as incongruous, you had better omit them until he can no longer be inconvenienced by them. But you seem in a hurry, Mr. Magiwa.
You think death is such a pleasant thing to be kept waiting for? I mean, if you decided to commit murder, do it and have me done away with.
Sergeant, have such preparations been made?
Ready, sir.
It wants 2 minutes to 2 a.m. Have you anything more to say?
2 minutes. Your watch is slower than his watch by 2 minutes. It's already 2 a.m. I don't know what we are waiting for. Please.
Pastor, please begin.
Thank you. Let's pray for you, sir. Gentlemen, Daddy, we thank you for this man's soul. We submit it unto your arms, and that he may find a solace next to you. I even pray for the child nations that we've gone through. I pray for his sins that he may be forgiven. I pray for financial help. I even pray for this congregation. In Jesus' name!
You cannot be.
I am Anthony Kasai, the man you all want.
So you are him. Arrest that man.
Here's the ceasefire agreement.
But are you there?
I am.
Let go of him. Let go of him.
Oh, thank God I was in time.
Ample time, sir. Plenty of time. I should never think of slaughtering any Kenyan by my Kenyan watch.
We are always ahead, sir. Now tell this policeman to untie those chains from this Kenyan citizen.
Kindly untie Mr. Magiwa.
Well, my love, what do you think of me now?
I'm ashamed.
You should be.
Inspector Makwala, you look disappointed.
You look defeated.
I am, sir, and I am humane enough to be glad about it. Now, I understand this ceasefire agreement was to come from the leader of the activists, and you seem to be a clergyman.
Well, sir, it is in the hour of trial that a man finds his true profession. This young man here boasted himself to be the devil's disciple. But when the hour of trial came, he found that it was his destiny to suffer and be faithful to his own death. I thought myself the minister of the gospel of peace and truth. But when the hour of trial came, I found that it was my destiny to be a man of action, a man of thunder, an activist. And so I will fight against impunity, corruption, and extrajudicial killings. So I'm starting life at 50 as Captain Anthony Kasai of the activists of Kenya. And you, Robert, you will start your life as Reverend Robert Magiwa. And you shall wag your paw in all the pulpits in this country. And you shall give good advice, especially to this silly little sentimental wife of mine. Your mother was right, Robert, when he told me that I should have not married Judith if I'd been born into the ministry. So by your leave, you shall keep my coat and I will keep yours.
Reverend, I should say, Captain, I have behaved like a fool.
No, like a hero.
Yes, much the same thing. But no, if I were any better, I should have done the same thing for you, just as you've done for me. Instead of making vain sacrifices.
It's not in vain, my boy. It takes all sorts to make a world. Saints as well as sinners. Now, Inspector, time presses and Kenya is in a hurry for democracy, freedom, and liberation. You might have realized by now that you may occupy towns and win battles, but you cannot conquer a nation.
My good sir, without conquest, you cannot have an aristocracy. But ours is a dying breed anyway, and reform is on its way. But I should be glad to see you at my place, 1 p.m., so that we settle this matter, huh?
At your service, sir. Robert.
Yes.
Please see my wife Judith home.
And by the way, Mr. Robert Magiwa, I should also be glad to see you at my place 1 p.m. And if you're, well, Mrs. Kasai, should be kind enough, you shall bring her as well. Inspector Makwala. There comes a time when the interest of a nation must be placed before that of an individual. What do you think? Take it lightly, man. Take it quietly. I suppose you would rather the Kenya police orders and not the Kenya war officer.
Pastor, go back to your true calling. This society needs it.
Yes,
Come here. I shall not mind being tortured, but I shall not be cried over.